I'm Simon McBurney and I am from Stroud in England, and here I am remarkably in NDT with the most astonishing dancers on the planet and with one of the most extraordinary women on the planet with whom I'm very, very lucky to collaborate. And we've been making a show, the second in a trilogy of 3 pieces.
That's it. And then, can you just do... I'm Crystal Pite, and I am from Vancouver, Canada, and I've been working with NDT for almost 20 years now. And I'm here working on this production with Simon McBurney. It's called Figures in Extinction 2.0, but then you come to the humans. I mean, I think we knew about each other and we had seen each other's work.
Yes.
And we wanted to work together. We wanted to create something together. And we thought maybe doing it here at NDT would be interesting because it was away from Simon's company and it was away from my own company.
A sort of neutral ground.
Yeah, that's right.
But also with the incredible advantage of these absolutely astonishing artists here.
Yeah.
Who are on another level. I remember going to see Crystal in New York when she was on tour with NDT and seeing a technical rehearsal kind of run through of the statement, sitting beside her, and it was an amazing experience, 2017. And I was 16 actually, and I was performing on Broadway in a one-person piece. So we were both there at the same time and able to observe each other.
Yeah, 2 nights later I was able to see Simon performing in his show, The Encounter, which for me was a life-changing experience. I'll never forget it. The force of that performer and that content, that story all coming together in the most powerful, generative, generous way.
Another time, our time.
Well, Figures in Extinction 1.0 was a series of portraits of animals and natural phenomena that have gone extinct for human-caused reasons. And that question of extinction and that sense of powerlessness and that feeling of loss was something that we wanted to share with the audience in that work. And with 2.0, we were interested in looking at this species, Homo sapiens, and trying to understand, I guess, or just grapple with the possibility of our own extinction and ask, how did we get here? What is it about us? What is it about the way that we think? What is it about our brains, our minds, that brought us to this point, this crisis that we're in our relationship to the living world? And Simon was very inspired by this book, I think initially,
yeah,
by
it's
Ian
called The
McGilchrist.
Master and His Emissary by a man called Ian McGilchrist.
And it really became our lighthouse, didn't it? That book and the content, and also a lecture that Ian did. That really,
from the Royal Society of Art,
yeah.
And which was then made into a cartoon.
And I was inspired both by the content of the lecture, but also by the delivery method of this cartoon that we took a look at. I was interested in how it was illustrated and how the sound effects and just the whole sort of style and nature of this cartoon felt like something that could be staged, that I got excited about making. So I think that had a real force, didn't it, in the early part of our creation.
Blood flows like human blood.
In 1.0, it was these beautiful portraits, which are like sort of dreams almost. One of the dancer actors having these incredible extensions of horns, which are way beyond what the actual animal had. But it extends our human connection with the animal. So in a sense, what's being explored is the relationship between the human and the animal through the series of portraits. Yes, they're portraits, but that you're looking at a human being an animal, but not trying to do the best animal possible, but to show where the animal lives in the body. which is a different thing. And so necessarily it becomes about relationship between human and animal, and the text that we did was about the way that we look at animals and the way that animals look at us across a kind of divide. I don't know, anybody who has a cat or a dog, you have this very particular relationship where they look at you and you look at them and you go, yes, I know, and then they just look at you like this. And there is an intense communication, but it's across a divide. So there is a sense of separation. We are separate from the animals. But why are we separate from animals, given that we are animals?
Let's try once to get to the end of the speech and find your way into it.
I mean, we really start with content, and we start with language. We start with
ideas
and big questions, and then we find the best way to express those ideas and to try to find different forms to express it. Sometimes it's through the physicality, sometimes it's more directly through the text.
Each of you does a two-part, so 1, 2, and then 1, 2.
There is the impulse when you are making work, when I am making work, I look and I go, there, that's what needs to be done there, and it's very powerful sense. And equally Crystal, with her language, will go, I just need to do that. So then you have two people looking at the same thing. And that is for me, it's a very, very beautiful experience, because the sensation is like having my eyes open to something else. And there's that, okay, so I'll let that go and I'll look at that. And it brings all sorts of possibilities.
With you, I think it's a real feedback loop, I find. We toss a ball back and forth, or one of us will plant a seed, and then the other person will watch it grow a little bit, and then add some water, and it feels like very fluid and intuitive and easy. And there is something, for me, that's been very helpful about being able to sometimes sit back and be able to just witness and observe, and not constantly being in the leadership position, which is a different part of your brain, to be in control of the room and to be taking responsibility for everybody and to figure out how we manage time. And that whole leadership part of the job is a very different brain than the creative part of the job. And so I've enjoyed having moments where I could just kind of extricate myself from that kind of thinking.
Volume of the hemispheres has got smaller.
And there's a couple of other elements here, one of which is the dancers themselves, which are like a matrix for us. It's a place, they are the place where we meet and work and discover and learn. And then there's Ben as well, our incredible composer and sound designer, who again is part of this conversation and contributing the most extraordinary content at like breakneck speed. So to be able to work that quickly, because of Ben, we were able to be so nimble and able to try things and leave things behind with just incredible skill and speed. So I was really grateful to have a chance to work with Ben as well as the dancers. Keep that going for a bit, yeah. The dancers also had an enormous amount of input in this creation. They're fearless, and they don't hesitate to jump in and start building and offering and creating, and their ideas are always aligned in the most beautiful way with ours. Sometimes they take a left turn where we least expect it, and that can be very inspiring and revealing. So they really are a force. Yes, that's one of my great joys of this project has been them, and meeting you through them, through their genius.
The ratio of the corpus callosum to the volume of the hemispheres has...
What do I take back from this experience to my own company? It's just the difficulty will be asking them, wanting them to be able to do things they probably can't do, physically. There's a whole extraordinary amount of language and the way of being able to touch the edges of experience where words can't hold the experience. But everyone will recognize it and feel it. That's something that's always been present for me in anything that I do. It's just opening the windows to finding other ways to express your ideas. And I think that for me that's what I take back. And for me, working with Crystal and the artists here is really, it's a whole bunch of stuff that I don't really understand. And so, feeling like a child again, learning.
The picture, however, is frank.
Thank you. So, Ian.
But yes, the first piece in a sense is portraits of animals, and the second piece is a portrait of human beings, but they are also all part of this mess that is us. And it's ridiculous saying, look, we have a divided brain. We don't really like to talk about it because we think we don't understand it. But Ian has a suggestion that the more you think in a certain way, the more you will think in that way. And the more you will think, the more of course, the synaptic connections will be made and the brain will respond to what you do. If you do something, the brain will respond accordingly.
Paranoia in society. We need to go and show everything. Our daily life.
Well, this work feels like it's the launch pad for whatever it is that we're going to make next. I feel like that work starts right now.
Yeah.
With this creation and this momentum, and the questions continue on into part 3. So we begin. We
start looking, we just start trying stuff.
But it does feel like there's a trajectory to follow. It feels like if the first piece was sort of this thing, the second piece becomes like another planet that holds it in kind of a gravity.
Yeah.
And then there's naturally a third destination that we can see now because those things are lined up.
Yeah.
In a way that we couldn't have without this one. You know?
Yes, that's right.
And I'm enjoying that feeling because
Yes.
it feels like we have a kind of a lodestar or something.
I think so, yeah.
And it also feels like it's outwards. It's outside of our bodies. It's some big questions about the unknown, literally the unknown as a subject.
Yeah.
And as a force in what we're going to do next.